Hello students, in this video we'll see an example of performing simple linear regression. So suppose we have a data set. Here's going to be our data set. We have x's and y's. X can be, let's do this. X can be -2, -1, 0, 1, or 2. So I have 5 observations for x, and my observations for y are the following. 3, 3, -1, and then 4, and then 1. So here are our observations. I would like to find the simple linear regression least squared line. Let's find y equals beta, or b0, plus b1x, the simple linear regression. Line. So we recall the estimates for b0 and b1. So the b0 estimate is defined as follows. It's defined in terms of b1. So we have b0 is equal to y bar, the average of the y's, minus b1, the average of the x's. And we have that b1 is the slope estimate. It will be the sum. I goes from 1 to n of xi, yi, minus n x bar, y bar, over the sum. I goes from 1 to n of xi squared minus n x bar squared. Now, what are these? These are the averages. And of course, our n in this problem is equal to 5. So our n is equal to 5. We have 5 observations here. So let's find these terms over here. So the first term we're going to have is, let's find the x bar. X bar is equal to -2 plus -1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 2, all divided by 5. And we see that the x bar, in this case, I have a 2 and a -2, a 1 and a -1, and a 0. So the x bar here is just going to be equal to 0. So what's the y bar going to be? The y bar is going to be 3 plus 3 plus -1 plus 4 plus 1, all divided by 5. And so what I have is I have a 6 plus 4, which gives me a 10 over 5. So y bar is equal to 2. Now we need to find the sum of the xi, yi. So let's find the sum of xi, yi. The sum of xi, yi, I goes from 1 to 5, is going to be 2, -2 times 3, and then -1 times 3, and then 0 times -1, and then 1 times 4, and then 2 times 1. So let's do this. So this is a -6, then a -3. That gives me a -9, then nothing, then -9 plus 4 is -5. -5 plus 2 is -3. So I have a -3 over here. And I need to find the sum of the xi squared. So the sum of the xi squareds, xi squared, I goes from 1 to 5, because I have 5 observations in our data set, is going to be what? Is going to be -2 squared plus -1 squared plus 0 squared plus 1 squared plus 2 squared. So that's going to be a 4. That's going to be a 1, because when you square a negative, it just becomes itself. It becomes positive. So I have a 4 plus 1 is 5. Then a 1 plus 4 is another 5. So the xi squared is going to be equal to 10. So now we can fill in these numbers over here. So let's find the beta 1, or the b1. The b1 term is going to be the sum of the xi's times the yi's, which is a -3, minus n times x bar, which is 0, times y bar, which is 2, over the sum of the xi's, which we found to be 10, minus n, which is 5. So that's going to be a 5 right there. It won't matter because we're going to have x bar, which is 0 squared. So my b1 is -3 over 10, or -30%, right? Let's find the b0 now. b0 is going to be what? It's going to be y bar. So the y bar was equal to 2 plus or minus b1, 3/10, times x bar. But x bar is equal to 0. So my b0 is equal to 2. Now we've just found the regression line. So the regression line will be y hat, the predicted value of y, is going to be b0, which is 2, plus b1 times x. So that's going to be minus 3/10 of x, and that is our regression line. Thank you very much.